Marjorie Taylor Greene is going nuclear right now. I knew when she left Congress, she wasn't going to get quieter. She was going to get much, much louder. And that's what we've seen since she left the Hill. But the video she posted today and the accompanying implicating Trump evidence is some of the craziest shit I have seen from Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that includes the conspiracies. This is a full out, full court press to bring down Donald Trump and to expose the lies that Carolyn Leavitt told today. And that is where I want to start, because clearly that is what Marjorie Taylor Greene was responding to with the video she posted and the photo evidence that came after it. I want to get into it all, but again, it starts with Carolyn Leavitt and what she had to say, trying to defend a call that even she says Donald Trump allegedly made. It's very important in understanding why Marjorie Taylor Greene just went off. So we got to unfortunately start with Carolyn Leavitt.
Epstein files. According to newly released files, the president had a conversation with the Palm Beach police chief in the early 2000s, according to the police chief in 2019. The president has gone on record before, and he's told reporters that he said that Jeffrey Epstein, he had no idea about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. During this conversation with the police chief, however, he did say, according to this recounting of it, that thank goodness you're stopping him. He also called Ghislaine Maxwell evil. So my two questions are, did that conversation with the Palm Beach police chief happen? And can you explain the discrepancy?
What I will say is that the president has always remained consistent and that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club at Mar-a-Lago because, frankly, Jeffrey Epstein was a creep. And unlike many other people who are named in these files, President Trump cut off his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and was honest and transparent about that for years and years. And so I think what the president has said all along has always remained true. And the release of more than 3 million documents related to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous, disgusting crimes just shows the level of transparency that this president and administration has committed to in bringing these files to light.
But did he call the chief in 2006? Caroline, did he call the chief?
Look, it was a phone call that may or may not have happened in 2006. I don't know the answer to that question.
So this is the defense that you consistently hear from right-wingers, that Donald Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. He thought he was a creep. He thought he was a bad guy. And then he continued to hang out with him, which is just a weird argument to make, especially when Donald Trump said he kicked Jeffrey Epstein supposedly out of Mar-a-Lago for business reasons. He was mad over a real estate deal, so he could look past the trafficking that was, according to Robert Garcia, hubbed up, centralized at Mar-a-Lago, but no, it was the real estate deal that really peeved him off. But this is Carolyn Leavitt's defense. And what's so interesting about that defense is that the phone call that she's kind of leaning on for look how good of a guy Mr. Trump was, even she said only allegedly did or did not happen. And so clearly she doesn't understand if this is beneficial or detrimental to the case that they're trying to make yet. Because why? Because Donald Trump was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein after that alleged call. So if he did say something to the police, it only makes it worse that Donald Trump told law enforcement, or allegedly did, and then kept hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. And it also makes it worse that he's still protecting Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and doing nothing for their victims. So it's not a good defense from Leavitt, and it's why Marjorie Taylor Greene went scorched earth. She posted this video, but what she retweeted after, yeah, it's so much worse. So Marjorie Taylor Greene posted this video that we're going to watch, writing, "The president called me a traitor for fighting to release the Epstein files, yet the only one who has been against releasing the Epstein files is the man at the top. No one is letting this go."
Jeffrey Epstein was supposedly killed. That's on an FBI form. That's not somebody calling in an anonymous tip or writing it on some deep, dark place in the internet. That's an actual FBI file stating what happened. And people are going to have to completely take in what they are seeing with their own eyes, what they're reading, and what they're being told. The reality is the Trump administration is not releasing the information. And I got yelled at by the president over this. This is why he called me a traitor. He called me a traitor because I would not take my name off the discharge petition, because I stood firmly and said, no, we are going to release the Epstein files. I'm standing with women who were raped as teenagers. I'm not standing with the government. I don't support the cover up of all of this stuff, whatever it may be. And the president got mad at me, and he's told me, and I've said this multiple times, he told me his friends would get hurt. And that's what he told me. And then we're seeing a continued slow walk and cover up of a lot of this information. And I know that is why. I firmly believe that that's why it is being covered up. Look, Pam Bondi works directly for Donald Trump. She is not out there an independent attorney general. She can't just run out and do whatever she wants. She works at the pleasure and approval of the President of the United States. Everybody in the administration does. So does the FBI. They're under the very same pleasure and approval of the President of the United States. So when everyone's getting mad at Pam Bondi, or you can name anybody you want. The man at the top is Donald Trump. He's the president. And he's the one that was completely against releasing the files when we started fighting to get them released. He's the one that called it a Democrat hoax. He's the one that, he invites everybody to the White House, but he will not invite these women that have defended him, by the way. They have defended him and said Donald Trump did nothing wrong. They have defended him, yet he doesn't bring them in the White House and support them. But what you're saying is, if it looks like a duck, and if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's a duck.
Or it might be a
Lutnick.
Right. Or it might be a Lutnick duck.
So Marjorie she's clearly had enough. She's not putting up with it from Donald Trump, fully calling him out, fully incriminating him, because Donald Trump and Pam Bondi haven't broken the law in the past. They are actively breaking the law. I think I'm going to say that every opportunity that I can, because I don't want us to get numb to this or forget that it is an active cover-up, because when we start speaking like it's something that happened, that's when we start moving on, and we certainly can. I'm already seeing the mainstream press do that. But it wasn't just Marjorie Taylor Greene going fully scorched earth on Donald Trump and then posting that clip that was cut from a liberal organization, which I think is funny that she's that online. But she also retweeted something incredibly incriminating, responding directly to what Carolyn Levitt said. So Marjorie Taylor Greene responded to this post, which shows evidence of the Epstein files, and of course they're redacted. And this MAGA influencer wrote, newly revealed records show that Donald Trump was one of the first people to call the police on Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in 2006. Of course, this was the alleged call that Carolyn Levitt was referring to, and he went so far as to call Maxwell an evil operative. Marjorie Taylor Greene reposted a response that said, as the leader of Where the F Are the Arrest community, I feel compelled to respond in kind. This means nothing. Marjorie Taylor Greene is reiterating, this means nothing. Trump continued his friendship with Epstein until 2008 and continued his friendship through back channels thereafter. His current administration flat out is the Epstein administration. His FBI and DOJ is covering up Epstein in violation of federal law, having only released 50% of the documents. Trump's DOJ was responsible for the utterly embarrassing humiliation ritual known as Epstein Bindergate, of course, with all those influencers. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is reiterating the point that is so perfect to make in response to the lie that Carolyn Levitt is telling. It's insane that she is saying, oh, well, Donald Trump reported to the authorities that Ghislaine Maxwell was an evil operative, a woman with no soul, and then wished her well, and then wished her well, and then moved that evil operative to a prison resort to make sure that she gets to live in a cell meant for four by herself. This is all Donald Trump. And that is indisputable. That she gets DoorDash, she gets a puppy, she does pottery, does a little yoga, gets an umbrella when she walks around so the sun doesn't get on her. That is how Donald Trump is taking care of an evil operative. And it is so important that Marjorie Taylor Greene reposted that, because it is the argument that conservatives are making. They are saying, well, Donald Trump called out Jeffrey Epstein, and then he continued to hang out with them. He did not care. And that is what is continuing to come out in the Epstein files. And if you need confirmation that it is only going to get worse, I feel the most important moment of the past couple of days is Carolyn Levitt saying that call that may or may not have happened. May or may not. If it's your big defense, why is it may or may not? You called Alex Preddy a domestic terrorist. You called Renee Good a domestic terrorist with no evidence. But an Epstein file is still up in the air. And do you know why it's up in the air? Because they haven't decided if they wanted Donald Trump to have believed that Epstein was a criminal in 2006 or not. They want to be able to rewrite the narrative and say, well, Mr. Trump simply had no idea what was going on. He had no idea, not a clue at all. He just bumped into Epstein at brunch. Epstein, I don't even know who you're talking about. Whoopsies. That is what they want to be able to say. They want to be able to flip the narrative at any given time. It is why. The thing, Don Jr. shared this today. Don Jr. posted, oh, look at my dad. What a great guy. He reported Epstein in 2006 and then continued to hang out with him. And I think the back channel hangout with him is also so important. Everyone close to Donald Trump was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Steve Bannon was chopping it up. Epstein said he was hanging out with the Trump boys, hanging out with Trump. He was still close. He was still at Mar-a-Lago. He was openly bragging about it. They were close. They were tight. It didn't stop. Maybe it got a little bit more hidden, but it certainly didn't stop. And that is what this administration is so damn worried about. That's what they're worried about. That's what really scares them. Us realizing how close Donald Trump was in the 2010s after everything went down. And it was going down from the beginning. He knew. They did not know. They did not know. They were well aware. It's what he joked about. He thought it was funny. And so Carolyn Levitt, not deciding whether or not this is going to be the excuse that they use to defend dear leader, is the tell of all tells. It gives away the entire game to me. If they thought that this exonerated, which it doesn't, let's be clear, Donald Trump, they would be plastering it on billboards right now. But they know that Trump, having acknowledged the criminality of Epstein's operation, is damning, because it means he is currently covering it up with the knowledge of what happened. Because Trump keeps on saying this Epstein thing. It just, I don't know why wouldn't we just move on? But if he was calling law enforcement on the guy and calling his partner, who he continued to fly on jets with, an evil operative, what does that say about Donald Trump? It doesn't, to me, seem like a really great defense of him, because it's not. And they're well aware of that fact. That's why Carolyn Levitt went, I don't know. Maybe it happened, because they're still game planning what they're going to try to spin. And do you know what? No matter what, it's not going to work. You've broken the law. You're, more importantly, breaking the law still. Those redactions, unlawful. The documents they haven't released, it's unlawful. That is why Ro Khanna today went to the floor of the House to read those names off the Epstein list. Why? Because he knows that in doing so, in that body, he can't be prosecuted. He can't be targeted. And having to do that shows, as much as anything else, how panicked Donald Trump is. That Ro Khanna thought, I should probably protect myself from a political witch hunt, from a political persecution, if I'm going to do this. Because Thomas Massie, he was on CNN last night, could have read the names off. I'm not saying that he should. There's not a criticism of Thomas Massie. But it's notable to me that Ro Khanna waited to go to the House floor. It's notable to me. It's very notable. Interesting. You could say it's interesting. And we are going to continue to call this out. I feel like today was kind of a barn burner, but we're going to have those days, and we're going to have those days every day on the new channel. If you haven't subscribed already, we are this close to cracking 10,000 subscribers in just one day on the Shift channel. It is going to be linked here with a video that you can watch on Shift. It's a great way to support. Also below, subscribe. We got to build out liberal media. 10,000 subscribers in a day? Y'all, that's crazy. You are killing it. Y'all are amazing. I love you dearly. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.